Ladies and gentlemen, Cowboys Nation, NFL fans everywhere, we may be looking at one of the most fascinating, polarizing, franchise-shifting storylines of the entire offseason. And it involves a player who just put up elite numbers, who just established himself as a legitimate WR1, and who many believed was going to be a cornerstone in Dallas for years to come. According to NFL insider Ian Rapoport, the Dallas Cowboys are open to trading George Pickens this offseason. Let that sink in for a moment. Not releasing him. Not letting him quietly test free agency. Trading him. And not because he underperformed. Not because he was injured. But because the business side of football is colliding head-on with team-building philosophy, salary cap realities, and long-term roster vision. This is the kind of move that tells you exactly what a franchise thinks about its future. Now, when news like this drops, the first reaction is emotional. Fans immediately jump to extremes. No way, you can't trade him. Or on the other side, if you can get value, you do it. But we need to slow this down and understand what this actually means. Because this isn't just about one player. This is about identity. This is about direction. This is about how the Cowboys view their championship window right now. George Pickens didn't just have a good season. He exploded. He showed elite route running, elite body control, contested catch dominance, vertical field stretching ability, and an attitude that brought an edge to the offense. When you watch his film, you don't see just a receiver catching passes. You see a tone setter. You see someone who demands coverage adjustments. Defensive coordinators had to account for him on every snap. Safeties shaded his side. Corners pressed differently. Coverage shells rotated. That's impact. That's gravity. That's what elite wide receivers do. And pairing that with the rest of Dallas's offensive weapons made this unit dynamic. So why even entertain the idea of moving him? Because football isn't just about talent. It's about timing. It's about cost. It's about structure. It's about how many elite contracts you can carry at once without crippling your flexibility. The Cowboys are already carrying major financial commitments at premium positions. Quarterback contracts are massive. Elite receivers get paid like mini quarterbacks. Defensive stars command top-tier money. The salary cap is real. It is not imaginary. And when you stack multiple high-end deals, you eventually face tough decisions. The franchise tag scenario is critical here. When a team places the tag on a player, it does two things. It protects the team from losing the player for nothing, and it buys time. It creates leverage. It allows negotiation from a position of strength. But it also sets a clear market number. For wide receivers, that number is significant. So if Dallas tags Pickens, they are essentially saying, we value you, but we are not ready to commit long-term at your asking price. That opens the door to a tag and trade. And tag and trade situations are fascinating chess matches. Because now other teams know the Cowboys are at least listening. That doesn't mean desperate. That doesn't mean actively shopping him. But it means if the right offer hits the table, they will consider it. And what does the right offer look like? A first-round pick? Multiple premium picks? A defensive cornerstone? An elite pass rusher? A shutdown corner? A combination of assets that fills multiple roster holes? Let's zoom out. What are the Cowboys trying to become? Are they doubling down on an offense-first identity? Or are they looking at recent playoff exits and realizing defense wins in January? If Dallas believes their biggest weakness is on the defensive side, whether that's stopping the run, generating consistent pressure, or adding depth in the secondary, then flipping an elite receiver for multiple cost-controlled assets suddenly looks strategic instead of reckless. But here's the tension. Elite receivers are hard to find. Drafting one is not guaranteed. Developing one takes time. Chemistry with the quarterback takes time. And once you have one in his prime, moving him resets the clock. That's the risk. The other layer here is locker room psychology. When you trade a star player after a huge season, what message does that send? Some players interpret it as, "We are thinking long-term." Others interpret it as, "We are not all in." Culture matters. Perception matters. Veteran leaders pay attention to front office decisions. If the Cowboys trade Pickens, they better be ready to explain that move in a way that reinforces championship urgency. Let's talk about leverage. Dallas actually holds more leverage than people think. If they tag Pickens, he can't just walk. He would need to sign the tag or negotiate an extension with a new team after a trade. That means Dallas controls the timeline. And if they are comfortable letting him play on the tag for 1 year, they can simply say, "We're keeping him." That threat alone increases trade value. Teams know they can't lowball. And make no mistake, there will be teams calling. There are franchises around the league desperate for a true WR1, young quarterbacks entering year 2 or 3 who need a reliable target, teams with cap space who want to accelerate a rebuild, contenders who feel they are one explosive weapon away from a Super Bowl run. In today's NFL, offense sells, points win, explosiveness wins, and Pickens is explosive. But here's the strategic fork in the road for Dallas. Are they closer to a championship with him, or closer to a championship by reallocating his value into multiple pieces? That's the real question, because sometimes the smartest move isn't the flashiest one. Sometimes trading a star at peak value allows you to build depth that carries you further in January. There's also the negotiation dynamic. If Pickens' camp is asking for top-of-market money, the Cowboys have to decide whether he is truly in that top tier long-term. Paying someone top 5 wide receiver money means you believe he will remain top 5. Injuries, scheme changes, quarterback fluctuations, all of that factors into projection. And speaking of quarterback, how does this impact Dak? Chemistry between quarterback and receiver is not built overnight. Timing routes, trust on contested throws, adjustments against blitz, that's reps. That's film study. That's unspoken communication. If you remove Pickens, you're asking Dak to recalibrate. That could mean more pressure on the front office to draft or acquire another high-level weapon immediately. From a fan perspective, this is emotional. Fans don't think in cap spreadsheets. They think in touchdowns, highlights, jersey purchases, fantasy football points. Trading a fan favorite after a breakout season feels like a step backward. But front offices think 3 years ahead. They think about age curves. They think about positional value. They think about sustainability. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Timing in the NFL offseason is everything. If Dallas waits until after free agency begins, trade leverage shifts. If they move quickly before the draft, they can accumulate picks and shape their board accordingly. If they wait until draft night, the value might spike if a team panics after missing on a receiver prospect. There are layers to this. Another critical element is how this affects the rest of the wide receiver room. If you trade Pickens, someone else steps into that spotlight. Does the coaching staff believe they have a young player ready to ascend? Do they believe in their development pipeline? Or would they immediately target a receiver early in the draft? Drafting a first-round wide receiver resets the financial clock. Rookie contracts are incredibly valuable in today's cap environment. That flexibility allows you to spend elsewhere. But rookie receivers are not guaranteed to produce like established veterans. For every instant impact rookie, there are others who take 2 to 3 years to find consistency. And championship windows can close quickly. Let's also consider league trends. Teams have shown a willingness to trade star receivers recently when contract negotiations stall. We've seen blockbuster deals reshape divisions overnight. It's no longer taboo. If anything, it's part of the modern NFL business model. Extract maximum value before long-term cap strain sets in. Still, George Pickens is not just a stat sheet. He brings attitude, swagger, edge. That edge can energize a team. It can intimidate defenses. It can also create controversy if not managed properly. The Cowboys' leadership must evaluate not just his production, but his overall impact on team chemistry and brand. And Jerry Jones loves headlines. Let's be honest. Big moves generate attention. A tag-and-trade scenario would dominate the sports cycle for weeks. But attention is not the goal. Winning is. Now let's imagine both scenarios clearly. Scenario 1. The Cowboys extend Pickens long-term. They commit big money. They double down on an explosive offense. They trust that elite weapons outweigh defensive concerns. They go all in on offensive firepower. That path says, we win by scoring 30 every week. Scenario 2. They tag and trade him for a first-round pick and additional assets. They reinvest in defense. They add depth. They diversify risk. That path says, we build a more balanced roster for sustained playoff runs. Which philosophy wins in today's NFL? That debate is ongoing across front offices. There is also risk in doing nothing. If you tag him and negotiations go nowhere, you risk tension. You risk distraction. You risk a player feeling undervalued. Managing that relationship requires communication and clarity. The Cowboys are at a crossroads that defines smart organizations. Do you pay for past production or projected future production? Do you consolidate stars or spread value? Do you chase splash or stability? This decision will reveal how Dallas truly evaluates roster construction in the modern era. And let's not ignore the competitive landscape of the NFC. Other teams are loading up. If your rivals are strengthening their defenses, can you afford to weaken your offense? Or if rivals are investing heavily in offense, does that push you toward defensive upgrades? Every move is connected. If I had to predict, I believe Dallas will listen aggressively, but only move Pickens if the offer overwhelms them. Because you do not casually trade elite talent entering his prime. But if a team offers a premium first-rounder plus additional compensation, and Dallas's internal grades on upcoming draft prospects are high, the temptation becomes real. This isn't just rumor noise. When an insider of Rapoport's caliber reports openness to a trade, it means conversations are happening at some level. It means this is not fantasy. It is possibility. And the offseason is long. Negotiations evolve. Leverage shifts. Rumors intensify. So buckle up. Because whether Pickens remains a Cowboy or becomes the centerpiece of a blockbuster trade, this storyline will shape Dallas's identity moving forward. And now I want to know from you, if you're the GM, what do you do? Lock him up long-term and embrace offensive dominance? Or maximize his value and build a deeper, more balanced roster? Drop your take in the comments. Keep it respectful. Keep it passionate. Because this is the kind of decision that defines franchises. The Cowboys have entered chess mode, and every move from here matters.